Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Let's Talk About It on the Second Chance. My name is Philip Jones.
And I'm Tafaro Cook, two-time kidney transplant recipient and founder of Kidney Care Coaches, where we coach people with stage 3 to stage 5 kidney disease.
All right, so today's show, Let's Talk About It. We're going to talk about 10 tips to beat insomnia. I've noticed this for quite a bit of time now in certain Facebook groups and things that people are having problems sleeping. They don't know how to deal with it. So I think it's something that needs to be addressed for not just transplant patients, but anybody that's dealing with insomnia. So we'll go ahead and get to it. But before I do that, man, I want to say congratulations to Shane Blanchard. Got his transplant earlier this week, and we hope you're recovering well and doing well, my friend.
Much love, Shane, for sure.
So the first one. So the first one is keep regular sleep hours. Like myself, I'm not gonna lie to you, I have horrible sleep hours. I just woke up about 30 minutes ago. So, I sleep all day and don't sleep at night. And it's not a good thing because especially if you know you have certain things to do during the week, you don't wake up in time. Sometimes you oversleep or things like that. It's not intentional, but you didn't get any sleep, right? So sometimes you're like, oh, let me close my eyes for a second, and you wake up and it's like 3 hours past the time you need to get up. So Mr. Cook, you got anything?
Yeah, definitely, man. I think keeping the regular sleep hours is serious, man. And I'm guilty of it also because some nights I'm trying to get into bed no later than 10:30 sometimes. I got to take my last medicines at 10. So I'm trying to get into bed by 10:30 at the latest sometimes. But sometimes I might be watching a documentary or something and I will stay up later. And then, like, it's crazy because sometimes when I go to sleep later, I have a better sleep, like a harder sleep, and I sleep much better. And I mean, just sometimes that happens to me, but sometimes it doesn't. But I notice when I stay regimented, like, okay, I'm going to bed no later than 10:30, 10:45, and I'm on it and I stay consistent with it, I have a lot better my body's in a better rhythm. And that's what I think we're going for right there, where, keeping those regular hours, your body's in a rhythm. And that's what I think it's about.
Cool, cool.
Boom. Keeping a restful sleeping environment. And that's true. And for me, that goes for turning off the TV. And I noticed that I have to have the room kind of cool. I have to be cool because when I sleep, when I get hot, it's a problem for me, man. And then with that being said, I'm a kind of dude that I'm in Florida and congestion, so I have to keep it hot. I mean, sorry, keep it cool, but it can't be just too cool because then my head gets cold and everything. So, but I have to. I can't sweat at night, man, because that's miserable. But I really agree with you. And another thing I think is in the sleeping environment is keeping it dark and quiet.
Yeah, I'm actually the opposite for some reason. Like I fall asleep better with the TV on for some reason.
Okay.
And like the light doesn't really matter to me. If I can go to sleep, I'm going to sleep. But I do agree with you on the cool part though. It's got to be, not hot, not cold. It needs to be, cold where I'm like wrapped in 18 blankets to get
Right.
warm and nothing like that. But just a nice, little breeze or something like that. That's, fan. I usually keep my fan on 9 times out of 10 at night, unless of course it's like, this time winter time and it's cold or whatever. But I'll turn my fan on and I'm good to go at that point. So yeah, cool environment.
Let me ask you this though, like even sleeping with the PD catheter and everything, can you move around? Can you lay on this side and then lay on the next side? That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Nah, I gotta like today. Um, like I said, I didn't go to sleep till I was already up. So um, like around 7:30, I made breakfast. Uh, ate that, and then like right not too long after that, when my machine finished. And I was like, "Ooh, I'm going to sleep." I'm like, because it was right after I talked to you, and I was like, "Okay, cool." I was like, I have some time between now and then to get some sleep in. So at that time, I was able to turn on this side and go to sleep, right? But when I'm on the machine, I have to stay on this side because that's the side my catheter on, and any movement, kinks, or anything like that, and this thing is going off.
Right.
So I try not, because it's pretty loud even in my house. Like when all the TVs and stuff are off, you can hear it pretty much through the whole house. So I try to stay in a position. Plus, it drains better that way. When I'm laying on my side on that side because then all the fluid goes and it's able to get picked up that way as opposed to staying flat and it's moving as a certain part of your body, things like that, and it's not getting all coming out. So yeah, that with PD is definitely picking a side is definitely uh something that needs to happen. So that way, like I said, the output input is fine. There's no beeping. So yeah. Number three, make sure your bed is comfortable. I mean, I think that goes without being said. I mean, because if it's not comfortable, you ain't going to sleep anyway. So,
Right.
but make sure your bed is fitting for you. Nowadays if you're married or you live with your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, uh, they have beds now that adjust on both sides,
Right.
that are meant for individual people, but on
Right.
one bed. So if you got to get that because it's no, it's useless if you can sleep well, but your spouse can't sleep well. They got to go to work too. They got to take care of the kids too. They got to move around too. So having a comfortable bed is very important. But if you by yourself, you get whatever bed you like, but make sure it's fitting for you to be able to use for a while. You don't want to keep, buy one mattress and then it's like, okay, this is not what I want no more, and you got to buy another one. So buy something uh that can last you for a while and be comfortable for you.
Yeah, man. Especially like I've been married for the last 10 years, and sleeping with my wife, that was an adjustment. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
she likes it real cold. She even puts the pillow over her head. I'll be like, how'd she do that? That's crazy. And she made me get the CPAP because she said I was snoring crazy and everything. But I can't lie, man. It's the best thing ever happened to me because I get that deep sleep now, and I'm much more recovered. But I feel you on the bed being comfortable because we went through a couple mattresses, man, and now we got one that we both like and everything. But it was a challenge at first because we had one where as a transplant patient, man, you get up and pee a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I had to
Right.
eat to the point where I had to cut my water off at certain times because because you get up so much. So with that being said, I used to get up and I'm 220 pounds and she's 135 and she's like, you stomp through the house. Every time you get into bed, you make me move, and I'll be like, look, this is what I do. So if you, you know what I'm saying. So
Right.
so just the comfortable bed. Once we got this one, it doesn't move too much, so she can sleep, and I can get in and out of the bed and everything. And she goes to bed before me always. So yeah, a comfortable bed is important. Cut down on caffeine. Yes. And I totally agree with that. Matter of fact, I don't even eat caffeine. I don't need coffee in the morning because when I get up, I'm ready to roll, man. So I don't even use caffeine. But whoever does, I recommend you do your caffeine thing early in the day. I mean, early in the morning, with that being said, so it can wear off. Bless you.
Thank you.
So it can wear off. But some people do get caffeine at nighttime, with a Coca-Cola, a Pepsi, and something like that. And that will keep you up, man. It is stimulant. It's a stimulant. So anytime you put a stimulant in your body late at night, man, that's going to be a problem. And so I agree with everything you have so far as these topics, because I think if you're mindful on all these topics, it will help you with your sleep for sure.
Yeah, the caffeine thing. I think that is partially part of the reason why I sleep the way I do. Because it's been like this forever since I was a kid,
Do
right?
you drink caffeine? Do you drink a lot of it or what?
Not really, not anymore, but I used to, and I think that's why. Like,
What, coffee or soda or
yeah, I
what?
used to drink a lot of coffee when I was younger because, like, my mom. That's what my mom did. She used to, that was what she drank pretty much all day, every day. We make our coffee pretty much the same way. Because I used to. That's who I stayed with when I was younger with my mom before I moved with my dad. So I was drinking a lot of coffee then. Then I brought it with me when I went to my dad. So it was just like, some like, or we had a Winchell's, which is a donut place right next to my middle school. And I had to walk to school. So like my dad's job, which is Southwest College, is right next door to my middle school, it's a Catholic school. So it's like the school, my school, Winchell's, all on the same street, right? So I used to get up with him in the morning and just, sleep in the car for about an hour from like 6 to 7 because he had to clock in at 6 and just get up and walk to school, when it was time to go. And it didn't matter what time I left. I could have overslept, left late, whatever. I was going to Winchell's. And it got to the point where the administration was getting so mad they got to the point where if I walked in with the Winchell's cup, I had to leave it in the office because it was like you can't be just walking in late because you want to go to the donut place. I'm like, yes, I can. I want my coffee, so I'm gonna go get it, and then I'm coming to school. I mean, unless you want me to lay here and go to sleep in your class, you gonna let me go get my coffee.
Did
And
you feel like it was addiction, like you had to have it, like it's my start of my day or what?
it was like at the age of 11, 12, being in middle school, I was like, I was I was getting it every morning like I was 35 going to work at 7 in the morning.
That's crazy. My mom wouldn't even let me drink coffee at that late. If I asked for it, then they'd be like, "Are you kidding me? You can't," because it was considered as a grown folks drink. When I
Right.
came up, man. So they wouldn't even. So honestly, I never. I think I drunk. I can name the number of times I've had coffee in my life, man. And it's very far and few.
Yeah, man. I remember the first time when my mom had some, and out of nowhere, I was just like, can I have some? So she gave, as a parent, she gave me some, and I was like, I like that. from, from then on, when I was with her, when she made her, she made me one. And even when because I'd go over there maybe on the weekends or something like that and stay with her and stuff. And even then, she'd wake up. and make me one too. Or like if I hear walking through the house, I'm like, can you make enough for me too? Like, so that was just something that just, and like I said, I think that may be part of the problem was so much caffeine as a young person, and that's probably why. Because like I said, my sleeping has been off since I was little. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Like I even when I was like in elementary, middle school, I'll be up to like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and then go to sleep, and then I got to wake up like 3 hours later. But I'd wake up, and I think that's why I never had that problem where I went to sleep that late, had to wake up at normal time, and I'm just sleepy throughout the whole day. It's always just been like get those 3 hours, get up, and I'm good to go.
And
You
so,
know,
how much coffee are you drinking nowadays?
I don't drink any coffee. Well, I take that back. Take that back. I do drink coffee, but nowhere near like I used to. Now I may have it maybe not even really twice, like maybe like once a month or something like that, if that.
How'd you cut yourself off of it from having it every day? Because one thing, I always associated with coffee with cigarettes, and I hate cigarettes, so I
Mm,
always associated with them. And because all my teachers back in the day, they smelled like coffee and cigarettes, so they was like always a turn off. So
right.
let me ask you though, how'd you break yourself from the coffee? Because you was doing it every day, missing school for it. I mean, being late to school for it. So how'd you break that off?
Any other thing that I was that pretty much comes in my life that ends up like that, 9 times out of 10, the reason is being in the hospital. But even being in the hospital, I had it. Um, but I just start, and it's not like we don't have it in the house, and it's even easier to make now because we have the Keurig, so it just pop the thing in there,
Yes,
hit the button,
yes.
and it does what it does. So,
Hmm.
um, it's not that it's not accessible or nothing like that. I just stopped doing it. It was just like I could drink it at any time or anything like that. It's not like it got certain things get nasty to you over a certain amount of time. Like a lot of people that eat like hot dogs or tacos or something like that a lot when they were a kid hate it now as an adult,
Yeah.
right? So, but that's not the reason with coffee. It's just like I said, I just stopped with one of them things. I was just like, whatever. Like I
Well,
said, like
how could you say like the hospital? Because I see, man, patients can get coffee anytime. They have,
right. And that's why I said that's not the case for this being in a hospital. If any other thing that I've dealt with similar to this has been because I was, in a hospital a long amount of time. But I'm like you said, being in a hospital, coffee is one of those things that they actually suggest for you to have, because it's usually got an asterisk or something that's,
Right.
these, because they give you a kind of a recommendation on certain
Mhm.
foods, especially if you have a certain diet, certain
Right.
things that's good, that's okay for you to drink and stuff. So,
Right.
yeah, breakfast definitely, coffee was a choice when I was in the hospital. That was the only thing that I can make taste good outside of like juice, and I didn't even want to drink juice all the time. So, but so yeah, so we can go on to the next one. Let me see.
Man, that's big. Do not overindulge, and that's true because I fast at night. So my last meal is usually at 6 o'clock, and I won't eat till the next day about noon. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I'll eat about noon. So I fast. And one thing I noticed though is this: when if I'm out late, like Thanksgiving, we had a late Thanksgiving dinner. We had people here, and we just started late. You know how it go. We had people running our mouths and craziness, and I ate a lot that day. I threw down. It's Thanksgiving. You gonna throw down?
Right.
I don't care. I smashed. Man, worst sleep ever. Felt like my stomach was extended. I couldn't get to sleep. And I feel you have to cut off your eating, even if you don't do a fast, at least 3 to 4 hours before you go to sleep. Like don't put nothing else in your body so you can get that deep sleep, that REM. And that is the deep sleep that you need. But when you have food in your system, your body is still trying to digest that food and you're still trying to sleep at the same time, and that can be super super uncomfortable, man. And your body just can't get that deep sleep anymore because of the food. And that's why I tell people don't eat, it's like don't eat and then go right to sleep because you're not going to get that deep sleep, man. I think that's important.
I'm kind of on the opposite side of the head because
Okay.
when I eat and I mess around and catch itis, I'm going to sleep and I'm gonna
Well,
sleep for a
I
minute.
got you on that though, but I can't do it, man.
Now, to go off of what this is saying here about overindulging, I don't over, but except for in certain instances, like you were just saying, Thanksgiving, Christmas, certain things that you don't eat all the time. That we may make them, just for dinner on certain days or something like that here and there throughout the year. But 9 times out of 10, you pretty much have that same. So outside of like 4th of July, things like days they have like bar. Even then, we got holidays where we barbecue. You got the days where you having, kind of Sunday dinner type thing. Thanksgiving, Christmas, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I eat a lot on those days.
Everybody do.
I I eat a whole lot on those days, and uh,
Everybody do, man. Everybody be slamming on them days, man.
right, and it's a great feeling because you just like I'm eating all this. You look forward to it.
You look forward
Especially
to
when
it.
you get past one holiday, and you like, oh, such and such coming up, and you gotta, so I gotta start planning and make sure we having all the food and this and that, and but yeah, overindulging is not, especially don't do it if you're out. Eat enough to satisfy your hunger, but don't overdo it, especially if you're the one driving. Because you mess around and drive and catch itis as you driving.
Yeah, man. You're
Itis
gonna be
is
tired.
right. Itis is a hard thing to fight when you that type
And
of
tell
tired.
people who might not know what itis is, what we call that.
So so itis is basically where you get super sleepy after eating. So
The
it's
body
like
shuts down.
j-
Yeah.
just over, right? Just you get to the point where it's like you take that last spoonful and you go, whoo, and then all of a sudden you look over and you done turned over and you done gone. You don't wake up for another 5-6 hours. You know,
Man,
uh,
what's crazy is when I lived in Columbus, man, we always hosted Thanksgiving and Christmas at our house. And I had nieces and nephews, especially the young ones. They come over late as heck. But my mom and them be there early. When we say 2 o'clock, they be there early. My in laws and my mom and all the older ones, they there on time. And then we be like, "Where's so and so?" We trying to wait for so and so, wait, and then we end up waiting. So then some food got to get cooked longer. You know how it go. The games is on. Some people hungry, some people dibbling, dabbling. But I'm talking about like 30 people at our crib. Man, once the food is set and everybody ate, you can tell like people, the pies is going around. And after that, everybody is kind of like shut down. And that turkey got that. I can't think of what it is. It's tryptophan or something like that, man. Turkey got something in it where it puts you to sleep. So after we had that big old turkey feast and everybody eating the pies and everything, I would come down and like we had people all over the house. People downstairs watching the game, people upstairs, watching games or whatever. Man, it just be kids running around. It'd be real festive. After they eat, everybody be kind of like laid back, like. And I always was the one. I always, my wife was responsible for cooking the majority of the food. And my goal was, my thing is, when everybody's done and everybody about to leave, I was a cleanup man, and I had no problem with it. I would start from scratch, man, and I'm talking about cleaning up for 30 people. You know, pots and pans, the kitchen look a wreck, and I would put some of my headphones on and take my time. and I clean the kitchen spick and span, man. Like, I mean, to the point where I'm cleaning off the floors, everything. When the night's over, the food is all put up, the extra food, and I clean up everything. But the indulging and everybody be talking about the next day. Boy, I got home, I was knocked out. I was tired. So you're right, but I still can't eat that much late at night, man, because I just feel like, and the overindulgence to me is an overnight thing, like late at night. And you're right, probably in the daytime, like, I don't know, make you sleepy or whatever.
Yeah, I'm actually in the middle of the night eater.
Are
Like,
you? I
yeah,
used to be
I
too,
am.
but I don't
Like,
do it anymore.
if I get it, like, I was actually proud of myself because I didn't do it last night. Right, last I ate early. I did dinner early yesterday. Right. So when it got to like 11, 12 o'clock, my stomach was growling. I'm like, what is going on? Because I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I know I ate dinner,
Right.
but then I then had to remember, I'm like, I did eat kind of early, and I made it through the night, stomach, growling and all, and that's why I was like 7 o'clock this morning. I'm like, all right, if they wake up, they just wake up because with my stepmom dealing with she was dealing with the cancer thing and stuff and doing going to chemo and stuff. So she kind of moved to the living room. So you can hear frying stuff or whatever or cooking in the kitchen. And I was like, if she get up, she just get up. I'm hungry. So I went in there and made something to eat. But yeah, I eat late a lot. Like, but what I do is this: I am cautious of it, so I will eat something small
Hmm.
just to kind of get my hunger over until it's time to eat breakfast or whatever. So I may go make a sandwich or something, you know, um, or something like that, or go get some grapes or whatever the case may be, something small and not too big, that it will be because that is a problem with eating too late, especially that's a problem for gaining weight. Is
Yes,
people
it
don't
is.
understand that you gain weight quickly when you eat late at night like that. So
Especially women who don't have as much muscle mass as men, they tend to store that fat, especially if you throw down on some carbs late at night. And that's one thing I see women do. Women do a lot of they end up, oh, I'm gonna give you some chips or something like that. And that's them carbs that you can store at nighttime. Ooh, that could be a problem. And chips are addicting, so yeah, it's crazy.
number 6, do not smoke. I've never smoked a day of my life.
Nothing? Never?
Never, never. I mean, you gotta. I was 4 years old when I got sick. Even with that, with having kidney disease, in my mind, like everybody else that plays the game, football, basketball, baseball, whatever, especially when you're a kid and you get introduced into that sport early, first thing you thinking is, scholarship to college to get a degree or pro, one of the two, right? You trying
Right.
to do good to make it to one of those points, not to pay for college, or make
Yeah.
it to pros or whatever.
Yeah.
So even with that, and I think it was because I wasn't on dialysis, everything was, pretty much good as a kid. Played the game, I lived my life like a regular person pretty much. I had my couple of meds I had to take, in the morning and night like everybody else got to take. But that was it. So in my mind, I knew early that smoking was not something that would help me at all if that's what I was trying to do.
Right.
So I never even had the thought about. So I mean, of course, we all deal with peer pressure going through high school and stuff like that because that's where it starts.
Hmm.
So I had a bunch of people like, Phil, you want it? I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm straight.
Right.
I'm gonna go over here and wait for me.
Well, on the athletic tip, man, nobody even in my high school asked me for stuff like that because they knew I was a football, basketball player, and stuff like that. They knew I wasn't even getting down like that. And I'm, I'm from, a urban community, and everybody knew that I was an athlete, so they really never asked me stuff like that. But I say when I got about 34, 35, I took up smoking, man. And I'm a big cigar proponent. I keep it real. I don't, but with that being said, I haven't smoked one of these, and I got a humidor over here in my back, and I it's loaded with cigars. And I smoke a cigar. Last time I smoked a cigar was probably like 2, 3 months ago, and that's my choice if I'm a smoke, and that's what I smoke. But I just wanted to show you, man. I will enjoy a cigar every now and then, but I keep it real. That's one of my guilty pleasures. I take a smoke with my boys and everything, and I'll smoke. So even the last couple of weeks, with the games going on and my friends and stuff, they smoked and I didn't even smoke. And I don't drink. I ain't drunk no alcohol. I drunk from what 21 to 23. So I had like 2 years of my life, and since then I haven't had a drop of alcohol. But I will smoke a cigar every now and then. But with that being said, the consistent smoking can definitely give you insomnia. You know what I'm saying? Because smoking, especially cigarettes, what I was told, I never smoked, but I heard that they kind of give you a euphoria where they kind of get you up, um, and again, I never smoked cigarettes, but I do smoke cigars, and I never had a problem with the cigar. I smoke them late at night sometimes when I do smoke, and excuse me, I never had a problem with them. So
that's good. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with, like you said, every now and again.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
There's nothing wrong with that. It's not going to break your sleep pattern or anything. But like you
right.
said, if it's consistent, especially consistent at night, then yeah, that's where I think where it takes an effect with that. So yeah, I've never smoked. Had some drinks here and there. Probably can count the number on my hand how many times I've actually had an alcoholic drink. So, but
That's me too, man. For those 2 years, and I was young, man. So our thing was 40 ounces. Yeah, I was, one of the 40-ounce dudes. St. Ives, Code 40, Code 45 was the first 40 ounce I ever had in my life.
wow.
Yeah, Ice Code 45, and I acted like a fool, man. I was tore up, man, and I didn't like that because I act too crazy. And like I said, 2 years of my life. That's when I drunk alcohol. But yeah,
But that was good though that you noticed, too much alcohol,
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
makes me kind of go, away from who I actually am.
Yes,
Some
yes.
people don't care. They
Right.
like alcohol so much they just like I don't care what I do after I
Right.
get, to
Right.
that point, I'm
Right.
gonna still drink it. And I'm like, you got to think about who you. That's how people end up on Worldstar and
Man,
Instagram and
listen here, man. People have done so much crazy stuff when they smoked. I mean, drunk, man. That they have woken up where I don't even know what happened. You'd be like, "You know what you did last night?"
right, huh? So, number 7.
Try to relax before you go to bed, and that's important. Even you definitely want to get a routine, because sometimes, have you ever been on the phone and somebody's telling you something crazy, or you had an argument and then you try to go to bed, you're too riled up, you can't go
Right.
to bed. You be ready to, then you try to lay down, it's all on your mind, you can't calm down. So that's really true, especially like an hour before you go to bed, just wind down. And that's what my days say. Won't you wind down because you about to go to bed? And I'll be like, what do you mean by that? But now I understand. That's so true.
Yeah, I usually don't get in bed until I get to the point where I'm like, it's time to go to sleep. Like
Right.
cause I'll feel it before I even hit in bed. And I'm like, all right, well, time to go to sleep. And I, leave my TV on, turn it off or whatever. And like I said, if I'm on the machine, I'm on one side. If I sleep better on this side, but because I've learned to sleep on this side because of my PD catheter. So like now it's easy for me to just turn over and go to sleep.
Mhm.
Before it was a super issue, which is part of the reason why part of the reason why my sleeping pattern is off is because like when I first got my catheter, my PD catheter, it was like it was an issue uh kind of sleeping on that side. So I would just be like sitting up on the side of the bed, so it could drain because my main focus wasn't sleep. It was making sure all this fluid gets taken off. So I was like, whatever I gotta do, if I gotta sleep during the day and just be up, at night on this machine for it to do what it's gotta do, then so be it. So but yeah, well, I can see where that comes into effect because some people are that way. They'll
Right.
get in bed and read first, or listen to some on the podcast or some music, and then it'll put them into a better way to go to sleep.
Man,
So
my mom, man, she can straight up read a book and had a TV on and sleep like my dad would tease. He go, your mother go sleep, your mother go live forever. She sleeps so good today. And I'm talking about peaceful, boy. She be out like, whew.
yeah, my mom sleep like that too. I wish I can sleep like that, but
Right.
like she about to go to sleep in a minute, really, because she gets up at like 11:30 to go to work.
Oh, okay.
Because she clocks in at like around 1.
Mm,
But she has to drive from basically the Long Beach area to Santa Monica. But the good thing about it is no traffic, unless it's
right.
like accident or something like that. So she gets to work in no time. So, um, but yeah, I could never understand it, because she 9 times out of 10, uh, since she's had this job, she's always pretty much worked uh, middle of the night time to like, early morning, whatever, and then get off. And so she's going to sleep like 4 or 5 o'clock. And I'm like, I don't care how tired you are. How do you do this? And
Yeah.
stay asleep, you know.
I can't
Uh
do it, man.
man, sometimes she has that, like everybody has that problem. Sometimes they just like wake up in the middle of their sleep and they can't go back to sleep. And I think that is sometimes she'll have those days where she'll come home from work and go straight to sleep. And she's like, I don't care. I'm tired because she, woke up 4 or 5 hours earlier than what she needed to. So she's like up those 4 or 5 hours and then go to work, So she got to, work on top of not getting her full sleep. So that day when she comes home from work, it's like, I'll call him like, you on your way home? Yep, on my way to sleep. I'm like, you ain't even make it home yet, and you already getting ready for sleep. I'm like, that's how I know when she's tired. I don't even hold her up on the phone. When she get to the house, I'm like, all right, talk to you later. Just go ahead, because she gonna go in there, say hi to my niece, and it's like it's bedtime unless Camille decides I need to see Nana, she's going to sleep. But Camille don't care. She'll just, open the door. Nana. I'm like, let Nana sleep. Lady, come on now. She don't care. She don't care. But I was, I was the same way with my grandmother, my dad's mom. So I understand it 100%. So uh number 8, write away your worries. That kind of goes hand in hand with try to relax before bed.
I agree. I
you know,
agree.
keeping a journal and stuff like that, writing how your day went,
Hmm.
before you go to bed can relax you and get all these thoughts out your head and,
Yeah.
get you kind of settle down. And, if you're angry about something, you can write it into your book, kind of leave it there. Like you said, it's not good to, if you had an argument with somebody or you feeling the type of way to try to go to sleep that way because you ain't going to go to sleep. That's all you're going to be thinking about, you know? So,
I agree with that, man. So you definitely have to. It's a form of decompressing. So if you write, whether you read a book, if they're sometimes some people watch TV. Like you said, you leave the TV on, and TV get you go to sleep. Any form of a way you could decompress is beneficial for you, and that's your routine. Hey, I can't knock nobody if it's working for them.
yeah. So number 9.
If you cannot sleep, get up. Excuse me. Back. I need some sleep. Huh? Yawning like that. Anyway, if you cannot sleep, get up. I agree with that because there's some nights where I can't sleep. I just get up. Like, all right. And then once I get up, I might move around a little bit. I'll be like, okay, I feel like I need to go back to bed. And then I can
Right.
sleep better. And that's just what happens. Instead of just laying there looking at the sky, looking at the darkness, I'll get up and be like, move around, shake and bake a little bit, even in the middle of the night. And then I'll get up. Then I'll be like, okay, I'm sleepy now. And then I go right back to sleep. And then I can crash out.
Right. Anything that gets your brain moving, your body moving, anything like that. That's what get up means. Get up don't mean open your eyes and just sit up. That means get up and get functional because your body or your mind probably needs a little bit more work, to get it to that point to where it's like, all right, I can shut down now. I'm going to sleep.
Right. Right.
So, like for me, what I do is I usually put my headphones on, play some music, because it's in the middle of the night. I don't, wake people up that sleep, So I usually put my headphones on, play my music. I'll start working on something either for this or, whatever else I got going on and get my mind going. And once I get to a certain point, when I know I can't think anymore, I know it's time to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Because I know my brain is like, all right, bro, I'm tired. It's that time now. Now you can go lay down and go to sleep.
Right. Right.
So yeah, do something. I'm not saying you got to go, clean up the whole house or pick a small section or something like that. Just something to keep you going or read. Go listen to music. If you got to go in the backyard and walk around, do 18 laps or something. Do something to keep you going to get your body tired and worn down. And then that way, getting back in bed will be, a lot easier for you when it's time to fall asleep.
Right.
Number 10, exercise regularly. This is something else that you can do for number 9 as well. Do some, light workout, but the regularly thing is the important part to this. Try to make sure you get some kind of workout in. Um, and if I don't want to go to the gym and start off at the gym, well, start off at home. Do some sit ups, some push ups. Or anything like that you can do in the house. Go buy some, all kinds of stuff you can put in the house to get some exercise in. They got that
Right.
bar that comes in your doorway.
Mhm.
It stays in your door. You can do pull up things like that. Start there, and then once you get comfortable and stuff like that, then move to move to the gym or try to put your own little if you have a nice size garage, put your own weight set and stuff together in your garage. That way you don't have to leave. You don't
Right.
have to feel like you feel embarrassed or something like that around a number of people while working out. You don't want people staring at you or something. That's fine. I understand that. Not everybody is comfortable being around a lot of people doing certain
Right.
things. So, but you got to make sure that it is consistent and regular. I know Mr. Cook has his regimen of working out. You
Thank
know,
you.
that's that's like part religion for him. So
Yeah.
uh but that's something to keep you going, keep your body working well and stuff like that. So exercise regularly is definitely important.
Right, man. I think, especially, with me, like a heavy lifting day, man, about 10 o'clock, I'm ready to shut it down because the body just be asking you that you got to recover. Sometimes my wife will work out, and she doesn't work out regularly, but when she does do some weights, she is wore out. She'd be like, "Oh, I'm faded." And you remember this, when you used to lift weights. Later on in the day, you be feeling it like, "Oh man," and the body just shuts down. And that's what the exercise does. Exercise promotes you to sleep because your body has to recover from the grueling exercise. Even if you're doing, some cardio, some walking and stuff like that, the body still has to recover. And you have when you do any type of exercise, it doesn't have to be lifting weights. It could be any type of exercise. You bless you. You are going to have to recover from it, and you will notice that the body is shutting down and you are getting tired. You do have to recover from these things. And that's what they mean by exercise, because you create an environment where the body has to shut down to recover again, like I said. And I think it's good, man. I think it's good because I love exercise. And I think that's one of the main things for real that helps you go to sleep.
Yeah, recovery is equally as important as actually exercising, because if
It's
you don't
just as
recover well,
right.
then you're not getting back to what you were doing, what you want to do for the next day. So do your exercising, recover, get some rest,
Yep.
get your body to rejuvenate and get ready for the next day, or whatever,
Yep.
however your workout schedule goes, because without the recovery, is you're not going to get the best workout in that you
That's
could put
true.
into it.
That's true.
So
Especially from a heavy day, man. Like if I deadlift or something like that, I can tell I deadlift by late in like 9 o'clock at night. I could tell my body start getting a little sore. I'll be like, man, I got to shut it down. And it's like an automatic shutdown. And you know what I'm talking about because you play college ball. So when you play college ball and you know, after one of 2 days, man, and you got to do it again the next day. Everybody be hitting the hay like, dude, I'm out. I got to. And you sleep good after their workouts. I don't care who you are. You ain't going to kick it the next. Believe me, if you got 2 a day practice the next day, I highly doubt you go out that night.
Oh, you ain't going nowhere but to your bed. That's it. You going from the practice field to your bed. You may stop get something to eat if you ain't got nothing to eat at home.
Man, I'm telling you, man, we used to like take naps at on that break. When you get a
Yep.
break,
Yep.
everybody be taking a nap because you're so wore out. You had to take naps in between.
Yep. We used to like, because of, we did 2 days in high school as well.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
remember when when I was in high school, we had a lot of like, fast food places and stuff around by my school. So we got done with morning practice. We leave. It'd be a group of us, the same group. We leave, like, we'll be in the middle of morning practice, and we'll go, hey, uh, where we going for lunch?
yeah.
Like, it would be like an hour left of practice, and we talking about where we going for lunch, right? Because we got
Cause
to
you
make
be hungry, man. You be so starving.
man. We hurry up, take our pads off. We'll leave our pants on,
Yeah,
like sweats or shorts or something like that, and some flip flops, and go get something to eat and come back within about an hour. Boy, go in the locker room and be done. Like
yeah,
I used to go to the lunch area, where the tables and stuff were, because I ain't got to worry about nobody bothering me.
right.
It'd be like 3 or 4 of us, and we just spread out. Like, I'm over here, this person, this other corner way over here, this person way over, and be gone for about a good hour and a half. That'll give us enough time to,
And you be
you
ready
know,
to go for the next practice. You be like, man, I'm ready to go. And I'm
yep,
gonna tell you right now, man. At that time, I ate so much food. It felt like it'd be gone because I ate. You had to eat a lot because you had to fuel your body because you was, you know, man, those practices were grueling, man. I don't care. Anybody's 2 a days were grueling. So
right.
you had to eat a lot of food because you had to replace what you was burning off all the time.
Yeah, if you play football at all, and you know about 2 days, the thing about 2 days is that no matter how soft your coach is, they always seem to get hard during 2 days. They'll
It
make
was
2 days
always,
the worst time to practice. And the thing about us in 2 days is that it was always hot as hell during 2 days. Like, they just seem to like call the weather like, hey, when you're gonna be hot during the summer. Okay, cool. All right, that's when we're gonna have 2 days. And I'm like,
you
bro,
would
it be
be
like
happy
three
if
o'clock
it
in the
rained.
morning.
You would be happy when it rained. You love playing in the rain because it'd be like, okay, as long as it ain't hot, I don't care.
Right. Right. And I used to hate the rain, but like you said, it's better than being in, 80 something, 90-degree weather,
Right.
you know, sitting there frying outside, especially it's different when you walking around and you just like, you know, doing what you're doing. But when you got pads on, you sweating each and every place on your body. You just
There you
it's
are.
just sweat. By the time you get home, you don't even think about sleep.
Nah.
You're like, man, I'm getting my butt in the shower. I got I'm you be so sticky and from all that. I'm like, bro, like, how do y'all happen to time this at the worst time of the summer every year? You know,
I wouldn't
but
miss it for the world, though, man. I love
I would definitely,
it.
bro. I made sure I was there early, and I was getting on the bus to get to practice. I made sure I was there early, sitting in the locker room waiting. Like, all right, you ain't gonna get here in a minute. And then like 90% of them run in at like 7:50 and probably start at 8.
Yeah.
And I'm already on the field just like, you know, because I've dealt with having to deal with heat early and for a long period of time. Um, and it's not a pretty situation when it's like hot all day like that. But off the football, so that's different. So yeah, exercise regularly, and like I said, you know, we had this conversation. Start somewhere.
Yes.
You know, you guys were just talking about that on Mr. Kidney. You know,
Yep.
men over 40 exercising and stuff like that. I watched was that yesterday or the day before yesterday, and you know, it's the hardest thing to do is to start.
That's
So
it.
you got to start somewhere,
That's it.
even if it's with the simplest things, walking, you know,
Mhm.
light weights, you know, curling or something like that. You know, start somewhere. You can't finish or progress until you start.
I agree.
So as long as you start, you one step closer to where you're trying to go. You know, so start with some type of exercise. And here's the thing: what I've learned by not myself really, I mean, partly myself, but watching other people as well, is that when you start, when it comes to weight, for some odd reason, when you start and your body gets used to it, you tend to want to elevate it and
It's a
continue.
natural progression, man. You're right.
You want to add to it, lifting more, doing more reps, or you know, and maxing out, you know, stuff like that. So it's all about starting, because once you start, you know, unless you know, a woman, you end up having a baby or some, you know, get pregnant, stuff like that, or you had a surgery, you're not gonna want to stop. You
That's
know,
it.
especially when you start seeing the result in which you're
Yep.
getting. The result is going to make you want to keep going and keep ramping it up and doing more and stuff like that. So, at exercising for surety, like that, like we said earlier, with the exercise and the recovery process is equally as important. So you're gonna get that sleep when you put the exercise in it, because your body has to recover. It will let you know, hey,
It
bro,
will.
um, I'm about to shut it down. I
Yep.
don't know what you're thinking about right now, but it's time to close these eyes and get this recovery going, you know. And recovery is not necessarily just sleep, you know. That could be just, you know, chilling outside in the backyard, you know, just letting your body rest.
That's
You
it.
know, you got to put icy hot on, or some ice, or, you know, heat packs or whatever. Do that, sit, chill, watch a movie, read a book, you know, listen to a podcast or something. Do what you got to do. But,
Yep.
you know, definitely add the exercise to your life is definitely important. um, Anything you want to add that's off the list, Mr. Cook?
I think one thing we could talk about is some a supplement, and what I recommend as far as supplements, a natural supplement like zinc, magnesium, stuff like that. Well, even melatonin, which will help you calm down at night. Sometimes I take zinc and magnesium at nighttime, which brings up your growth hormone, which brings up your GH, which is also good because as a man, your GH goes up when you get sleepy, when you rest, recover. And that's when your natural growth hormone in the testes starts producing. And by taking a supplement like zinc and magnesium, what that does is help you get a deeper sleep. It helps you calm down. It brings on the melatonin. That's why they call it ZMA, ZMA. Zinc, magnesium, melatonin. It helps you recover, and that's one of the supplements, and it's natural. You can get it from any supplement store, and it costs you about 16, $17 for a month supply. And you can take that before you go to sleep, and they give you that restful sleep to the point where you get up and you feel restful. Not like a, not like a something like those sleep medicines, because those sleep medicines they can mess you up. I'm talking about something that's just natural you can get, and it's just natural. It's already in our body. Zinc and magnesium is already in our body. I'm not talking about a synthetic supplement. I'm talking about something natural that'll help you, and it's any doctor anywhere. If you told them you was taking zinc and magnesium, they'd be like, okay, that's fine. So that's the only thing I wanted to say. That's a good supplement that will help people promote sleep.
I do want to ask you to elaborate on this a little bit. What? How can I put this? So eating habits that go along with exercising and the supplements and things like that, because there's a way that we should be eating as well if we're going to implement exercising and weightlifting and stuff like that into our life. It's not like, hey, go get Wendy's for breakfast, McDonald's for lunch, and Carl Jr. for dinner. But I'm gonna go work out in the morning. Like that ain't gonna make no goddamn difference. Especially if you're one of those people who's starting off small,
Right.
it's gonna look like the way you look for the next 4 years and nothing
Yeah.
will ever
Yeah.
happen. So
I,
what
I, I
what do you
believe you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what do you recommend? As in, like, I'm not you don't have to go deep into detail, but just like a basic, breakfast, lunch, dinner type thing where
I
people.
recommend for breakfast a simple one that I do quite frequently is a couple eggs and oatmeal. You're getting a good quality protein, and you're getting a good quality carbohydrate with the oatmeal. Oatmeal also has fiber in it, which is going to move along the process because we want to have good fiber in your body. And the eggs are good protein, you know, uh, which is going to help you build the muscles that you break down. And egg is a good form. It's one of the best forms of protein you could possibly have. And eggs and oatmeal, something like that in the morning time, will give you, especially if you're even a diabetic, it'll give you stable blood sugar. Then your next meal can look like something like a starch, probably a sweet potato, a piece of chicken, something like maybe a chicken breast and probably some green beans because you want to get that good green vegetable in you too, or a salad. You can have a chicken salad, something like that for lunch. And then I say in the evening, what you want to do is you want to cut the carbs out. So you might want to have maybe chicken, maybe steak, lamb, something like that, or some beans and beans in a salad, or maybe beans, or maybe um, beans and some vegetables because you want to cut the carbs out at nighttime because you don't want to store, you don't need to eat carbs at night because you only have carbs because they're going to fuel you. You don't want to have carbs at nighttime because you store that as fat. And that's a good simple breakfast. I mean, I'm sorry, good simple, routine to have in that, just real simple, but it's a good way to eat. Also, water. Get about a half a gallon of water if you're not on dialysis. Use. If you are on dialysis, I recommend 32 ounces a day. So how I broke that up when I was on dialysis is I had 8 ounces for breakfast, I had 8 ounces for lunch, I had 8 ounces for dinner, and I had 8 ounces miscellaneous, and that was my 32 ounces a day. And the reason why I promote the 32 ounces exactly is because even if you're a dialysis patient, you still want to have that water in you because it's going to help you get good bowel movements, especially when you're taking phosphorus and I mean medicines to bring down your phosphorus and things like that. Uh, when you're on dialysis, you tend to not have the best bowel movements because they're drying you out so much. They're constantly drying you out, doing what the kidneys do, and you're constantly taking a medicine, a binder. So you want to watch your sodium, and you definitely want to get at least 32 ounces of water so you can have great bowel movements to get the toxins out of your body as well.
Um, you mentioned salad. Um,
Mhm.
and I know this is a big thing for people that eat salad. What dressings would you recommend people? Because a lot of people, some people can eat salad with no dressing, right?
I
Which
can't.
would probably be best for some people, right?
My wife and them look at me like I'm crazy. They be like, "How you do that?" I
Yeah,
be like,
I
"I
can't do
can
it.
do
I'm
it."
not even gonna lie to you. I can't do it.
Yeah,
Not even
man, please,
uh,
I will do it with no problem. But one good dressing is like a balsamic vinegar because it has a good oil in it, and that oil is a good oil for your skin. It's good oil for your joints. It's a canola oil, kind of like an oil like that, where it's like a olive oil, and that's a good oil. Anything oil based is good for you because it lubes up the joints. It also lubes up your skin, your hair, and everything else. It also gives you, like I said, it helps you have a better bowel movement. Those are the kind of dressings you want to have, like an oil-based kind of dressing. Those are the ones that are good for you when you eat your salads and stuff like that.
um, what do you say about like sauces? Well, not like dipping sauces. None of us. If you're a traveling patient, you be eating sauces, but like spaghetti, pasta. I know for
Spaghetti is a great, I think a spaghetti is a great meal to have, for lunch or dinner. Make sure it's a little bit earlier because you don't want those carbs, laying on you late at night. But if you can have spaghetti with meat sauce or something like that with about 6 o'clock for dinner, somewhere around there with the carbs. I think that's a perfect meal because it has good protein in it. It tastes good. You have also have your carbs with the pasta. You can have a wheat pasta, you can have a regular pasta, anything like that. And I think it's a great meal. Make sure you cook it with less sodium.
right, right.
Mhm.
Also, pay attention to uh the noodles that you get as well.
Yeah, you
Not
can have wheat. You could do wheat noodles. You could do all kinds of different types of noodles. Also, you're right.
but pay attention. Still eat. When you read it, sometimes you get uh the truth of what you're buying kind of sneaks past you. Like I went one day. I went to the store. I was gonna make some pasta, and I was looking for something other than normal regular pasta, and
Right.
I saw something that said it was organic fettuccine
Hmm.
noodles. I was like, okay, cool. I think I can get that. When I got home and looked on the back, and I saw the potassium and phosphorus
Oh
in
yeah.
spaghetti, and I was like, I'm never using this in my life. Like I just threw it
Right.
away. I was like, I'm not even gonna tip myself to, because sometimes you in the house and it's just, you got a limited stuff. You didn't get to go to the store or whatever the case may be, and you like, oh, I got some of that in the cupboard,
Right.
on the refrigerator. I'm gonna eat that. And you know good and well you shouldn't be eating it, but that's
That's
all you got in
true.
the house. So I just like when I get to stuff like that, I just throw it away now because I'm like, if I get to that point, I'm going to eat it, and I'm like, nah. So I just threw it away. So pay, just because it says organic or low sodium, like yeah, the low sodium part is great, but now you got to see if it matches with everything else that you got to
That's
watch
it.
as well.
That's
Your
it.
phosphorus, your potassium, your cholesterol,
Mhm.
that stuff like that. Protein and stuff. So
Yep.
definitely pay attention to the labels.
And I agree with you, Phil, because the reason why you make good sense with that, man, is because when you are a patient, you better get knowledgeable on your nutrition. You better start reading those. We had our girl on here, Kelsey, man. She was telling us about those same things. You better learn yourself on what's going on with that. You're right.
Yeah, your nutrition is going to be your best friend
Yes, it
next
is.
to your, nephrologist or whoever your physician is, whichever you're going to the hospital for.
It's true.
And that's with anything. That's with any type of illness that you may have, and not just illness. But if you can, get a nutritionist to keep you on track, do that. Even if you're not sick, do it because they're the ones that's going to keep you where you need to be. Nutrition wise, I see my nutritionist first every appointment.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first person that comes in my room like clockwork. Or shit, like if she can't meet with me on the day of my appointment, she'll call me.
Right.
Hey, Mr. Jones, I just want to check in, got your labs back or whatever. Hey, your protein too. I need you to eat more eggs, eat more, stuff like that. Like she's on it every time. It's like clockwork. And she makes sure that if she's not going to be there in general, that there's somebody there to take her place, so that way her patients are still able to meet with somebody. Period. And they're all the nutritionists that I've talked to at Kaiser have been good. But yeah, me and my nutritionist, I've had this nutritionist since for what's this about 14 years now.
That's good. She
Yeah.
knows you then. She knows you for real.
Yeah, her, my nephrologist, and my pharmacist. Those three have been the same three in those positions since I went into from pediatrics to adults. Because I moved to adults early because I couldn't stand the pediatric nephrologist that I had. So when they called me and was like, "Hey, Mr. Jones, you can stay in pediatric a couple more years, or you can make that switch." I was like, "Nope, no, switch me now." And that was probably the best decision that I made because, like I said, with this nutritionist, my nephrologist, my pharmacist, even the a billion nurses and social workers that have been on and off the team have been great. And who's to know? I might not have had Dr. Tim as my nephrologist if I would have waited. It could have possibly been somebody else.
Right.
So, making that decision was probably one of the best decisions I made because, like I said, I have the best relationship with my nephrologist. My whole team and I have, great, even the new people, like my social worker just got switched again, right? And this is like probably number 5 or 6 in 14 years. So, but even, when like Shantae, she called me in my last appointment and was telling me that I think she was being transferred to another department or something like that. And so somebody was gonna be somebody else, right? But
Mm-hmm.
she wasn't even there that long. She's probably had the shortest tenure of any of the social workers. She was probably there for about 5 months, maybe 6, right?
Right.
They're all great. But again, go back to nutrition. Be, very communicative with your nutritionist. Make sure they're on their job, make sure you're on theirs. When they tell you to do something, you do it. Ask questions. My dad told me closed mouth don't get fed.
That's it.
You don't ask
Yeah.
questions, you don't know what to do.
That's
If you
it.
stuck on something, your proteins high or low, calcium or whatever, find out how to, they may give you suggestions, but if it's something that you like to eat, ask about those things because they just may not have thought to say, shrimp or fish or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is that you like to eat. And if you ask them and say, hey, I do kind of eat this a lot, is that helping or hurting me? That's something that we preach a lot about, on the second chance is being proactive in your health.
Right.
That is very important. So, make sure you stay engaged in your health.
Shell said, "You want to read that? What she said?"
That's all I was reading out. I thought you was gonna read it out
Oh,
loud.
I'll read it. I'll read it. Hello, everyone. It's hard when you're dealing with multiple different illnesses that have certain dietary restrictions. Yeah, she's so right. That can be a challenge, man. She is absolutely right. That can be a real challenge right there because it's almost, it's almost going into like a contradicting situation where, if you got, something going on where you can have this protein, but you can't have that protein, but your kidneys are out. And you get your labs back, and the first thing they're saying to you is, "You got to bring up your protein." You got, but the other person, dentist, other nutritionist is telling you, with this medicine, you got to eat like this, eat like that. So it's a real balancing act, and she's absolutely right about that because it is almost like trial and error. And coming, with my background, I was a fitness trainer. I knew about, I wrote people's nutrition out for bodybuilding, figure girls, athletes, everything. But when it came to dialysis, even a renal diet was a whole different ball game. I had to learn the minerals then. I was like, oh, you can't do this. Oh, you can't do that. And quiet as kept, it took years for me to find out what was going on and how to work it with my system. And so, with that being said, Shell, I believe you have to find out what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and that's very important. She said, with my lupus, I couldn't eat certain things that I could when I was on dialysis, so it was hard. Yes, I agree with that because I don't know too much about. I know some about lupus, but I don't know about the nutrition side of it too much. But I'm pretty sure you will have a dietitian contradict herself because you'll have one dietitian tell you do this because they're focusing on lupus while the other dietitian is focusing on your dialysis, and so it goes back and forth, and that's why it's a certain balance where you got to find out what works for you.
And I think that's a crazy situation to be in, considering that people that are like Cheryl in that situation where they deal with kidney disease and lupus. And the thing about it is that the kidney disease is caused by the lupus, yet it
Yes.
still has its own kind of category when it comes to the illnesses. So you have lupus and then lupus nephritis. So it's like you have this dietary instruction for lupus. Then you have this dietary instruction for your kidney failure, and it's
Yeah.
like, you would think that it kind of intertwines because this was caused by this, but it's actually completely different. Like she said, it's two different restrictions and okays the things you can eat and stuff like that. So
She
you know
said that was my problem with my dietitian, so I sought guidance elsewhere. That's a real balancing act, and rightfully so, Shell. Sometimes you got to go outside and do what's right with what you have to deal with. And again, like Phil and I talk about, we could line up 20 patients that are in stage renal failure, and it'll be 20 diagnoses. It'll be totally different on what they got to eat, totally different on their medications, everything else. Because a lot of times, as far as kidneys are concerned, there's always another element that caused the kidneys to fail. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, with my situation, the kidneys just, I had glomerulonephritis, but sometimes it's diabetes, sometimes it's high blood pressure, sometimes it's lupus, sometimes it's polycystic kidney disease. All these type of things right here have their own elements that you have to deal with. And again, 20 patients lined up, it's going to be 20 diagnoses. So don't think it's going to be a cookie cutter if it happens to somebody and you might know somebody else happened. I work with patients every day, and everybody's different. Even if they got end stage renal failure, it's still a different situation. I'm not talking, I got to go through their chart and look at their stuff. Okay. Even their labs are different. And what's crazy about it is this: some people can have their protein is always good no matter what. And then some people's phosphorus is just always good no matter what. And then sometimes some people's phosphorus, they can do anything and everything, and their phosphorus never get right. And with that being said, sometimes their albumin never gets right. And you can do all kinds of stuff for it. And then some people ain't even got to worry about those things. So it's just it is what it is, you know.
Yeah, certain things we just got to deal with, but
Yeah,
you made the right choice by going, getting the second opinion.
exactly.
That falls under being proactive, because some
I
people
agree.
just lay down and took it, whatever that they're telling them. But when you feel those hairs in the back of your neck stand up when somebody tells you something you don't agree with it,
Yeah,
you
that's your intuition. Please listen.
definitely, I'm not saying you go off and yell at your nephrologist or nothing like that, but question it, ask them. If you have questions, don't be afraid to ask. Because you need those answers. There's no point of sitting back and not saying nothing. But there's no point of going off the rails either. So
Right.
um, you know, definitely stay proactive in your health. Like you said, if intuition, follow it. You
Yep.
know, get those second opinions if you have to, or um, I don't remember who it was. Could when we had somebody on the show and they were saying that they went and got a whole new different team. And that that takes guts though to just say, none of y'all working for me. I
I
need
forget who it was too, man, but you're right. And you know, she says that's true. Yes, listen and question things. I agree, man. I'm telling you, when look, when my doctors came in my room, they had to have answers. They just wasn't telling me to do this. They tried that with me, and it wasn't working. You know, hey, we just want you to do this. Okay, why? You know, you ain't gonna
right.
get anything me out. You're gonna tell me why. You're gonna tell me what's the reasons we're doing this. And you know, and you're gonna give me you're gonna give me some thorough explanation on why we're doing this because hey, I took my lumps of being that kid, just listening, shaking my head, thinking, oh, they're gonna do it right. And they have great intentions. But sometimes you gotta question things if it don't sound right. Like you said, if those hairs stand up on your neck, that's your intuition. That's your feelings telling you, oh, something might not sound right. So you got to listen to that. That's what we call a gut feeling. And if the gut feeling don't sound right, you got to have them explain to you right till it do feel right.
Yeah, and it's useless for somebody to give you instructions. You don't understand why you got to do
I
it.
agree.
Especially if they say, okay, we're gonna give you uh, uh, clonidine for your blood pressure. Okay, well, why are you giving me this specific medication? Because if they give you a, uh, you know, bullet point, bullet point, reason of why, but one of those bullet points kind of coincides with an issue that you already have, and you're like, well, yeah, so this ain't gonna work because I deal with X, Y, Z. If you don't know those reasons, you can't say that. So asking, there's nothing wrong with asking questions. I know, most of us when we grew up, with our
I think
parents.
doctors like to ask. I think that the majority of good doctors and your health team likes you asking questions because they see you're engaged. You know, Shell says didn't work with me either. That's why it's important to do your own research. You're right. Do your own research. It's so important, Shell. You have to research things for yourself and ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, that's so important. You know, I think all of us come in to the hospital world, to the health world, and we know that the health team has great intentions, but sometimes they're dealing with a lot. So therefore, you got to stay up on you. You got to be your best advocate. Your best advocate. You have to be your best advocate for you. You have to stand up for you and find out what's going on.
Yeah, and real quick, and we can wrap it up. But where I think that comes from, like people not asking questions, is most of us with parents like that, hard knocks parents. When you was younger, what was the one thing I always told you? Don't ask me why, just do it. You
Don't
know,
ask me why. Just do it. You
So
know,
you go.
my mom would get mad at me because I would tell if man I was that kid if I saw an older person doing something wrong, I'll be like, you wrong. If they were talking about something wasn't right, my mom would be like, my mom was old school. You know, she 86 years old. She'd be like, "For you can't tell older people they wrong." I'll be like, if they wrong, they wrong. I don't care if you older or not. They wrong. Boy, I'm gonna get you. You know, I'm gonna give you a whooping. I'll be like, hey, you can do what you want, but that person wrong. That person, I don't care who they are. If they was wrong, they was wrong, and that's the way I don't know. It was just my intuition on that. You know, like, hey, this person don't know what he talking about. And my mom
Right.
was always, you can't tell older people that. That's your elders. You can't. I'll be like, shit. If the person is wrong, they wrong. I don't care who they are. And
Right.
that's just how I got down, and I still believe that. You know, um, sometimes you know we look at the doctors like, and they do know a lot, and they do know what's up. Don't question it, but we um we look at them like the total authority, but sometimes you learn from more from what you're going through. You get the experience you're going through teaches you more. And I'm not disrespecting any doctors or anything like that, but sometimes going through it and living it, that experience alone can be 10 times more. And the reason why I say that is because if I rode a motorcycle and then somebody's teaching me how to ride a motorcycle, but you ain't never rode no motorcycle before, how you gonna tell me how to get? And I ride motorcycles. I've experienced it, you know, and that goes with the same thing with dialysis. You know, the majority of doctors, and I'm not disrespecting them because I love my doctors, but they never sat in that chair. They never did PD. They never did these things. They learned it from a book. They're learning from a book, but you know, and I heard a guy talking about that. It's called experience something. I forget what the name of it, but when you've done it and then you can talk about it also and elaborate, that says a lot, man. That says a lot.
Yeah, that's why I really respect Dr. Ken Suther at Stanford,
Oh my gosh.
because
Okay.
he's the two sides that we talking about right now. He has the PhD, but he's dealt with it as well. He's lived it,
He's
you
lived
know,
it.
most of his life. So he understands, and people like him should show you that it's really not like one side is more than the other. It's an equal balance,
Right.
because the doctors and physicians and stuff have the knowledge of what's in the books, right? But we, like you said, as patients, have the knowledge of what happens when we follow these instructions. Like for instance, if you get put on a certain diet or certain medication, and you have a some kind of allergic reaction to it, that and doctors aren't perfect. Sometimes they overlook certain things,
They're busy.
stuff
They're
like
doing
that.
a lot.
Right, they miss a lot. Sometimes they're not perfect. It's not to say that they don't know what they're doing or they're
Oh,
competent
they
or anything
definitely know what
like
they're
that.
doing.
But you need to be the one to step in and say, let me fill in these blanks for you. So
Right.
it should go like this. It should just mix. And like for instance, like I'm allergic to a number of medications, right? Especially like for instance, heparin, right? If I had to go back to hemodialysis, the first thing I'm gonna say is, hey, I'm allergic to heparin, don't give me heparin. Or I instruct them to do like they did at the end of my time on hemo, which is put enough in my line for it to not clot in my line. Don't put, because normally what they do is they put enough in it for it to go all the way through and do what it does, right? So then me paying attention to before, I would instruct them, hey, uh, you can use heparin, but don't use it enough to where it goes into my system. Do it enough to where it goes into my line and it stays there, because it does not like this, like when you're off the machine, it's flowing and not in and out and nothing like that. It's staying there. So well, and we all know when we get on the machine, it pulls. immediately, so it will come straight out as opposed to going in and coming out. So it's a mesh thing. You have to fill in the blanks in places where certain doctors may not think of, or it may not even be in your file. Sometimes certain things don't get filed
Right.
in your
That's why
file.
you got to be smart. Like, just like Shell said right here, she said doctors are humans also and can make mistakes, but they go by textbook teachings, not by actual experience. And I agree with that. She's absolutely right with that. And that's why we want to get doctors on our side that do have experience, because some of the things, some of the doctors that have experience are the ones that can listen to a patient and they go, okay, I've heard this before. I've heard patients say XYZ. I heard a patient say he can't have heparin. I understand that because they've worked with so many patients that they understand and feel is coming to them and say, hey, this is what happened when I had heparin. Put it in my line. Don't put it in my whole system. That doctor would be like, okay, he knows what he's talking about. Even if it wasn't in his records, this man is saying something. He's learned from experience, and the doctor recognizes that. And those are the doctors right there that we want, that can comprehend where you're going and understand what you're talking about. Because the majority of the doctors who do work with us, man, 99% of them ain't did dialysis, ain't did, but they work with so many patients where they do get the experience. So if they do have a patient that comes in and says certain things, they clearly understand what's going on.
I know we kind of took a left turn at Albuquerque at the end of that, but it wasn't just talking to be talking. So everything
Yeah.
that we talked about was definitely something that can be used and
Yeah.
was informative. So um, we'll be back on Sunday, December 8th. We have Tiffany Archibald that'll be coming on doing the presentation, advocating for your optimal health. And then December 10th, we'll be back on here for part two of our dialysis roundtable discussion. Um, Myself, Mr. Cook, Shell Allen, Jonathan Trailer, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get Shane Blanchard on if he's
Oh
well
yeah,
enough from
man. Yeah.
recovery. So, but if not, handle your business,
I
Shane.
love to get Shane on here so we can hear just his latest experience. And with that being said, Shell's latest experience with her transplant, and some of the challenges she just went through at the hospital and stuff like that. This is the experience that people need to hear, because this is firsthand experience with people that just received kidneys, and they're telling you exactly what's going on with the latest information and how they're being taught, and how they're being serviced by these hospitals and things like that. And it's the latest information from people who are just now getting transplants, and to hear some of the information, because what's when you do hear from people that just got transplants, things change. So you hear new information and stuff like that. And that's why it's always good to hear from the latest. So we're gonna have Shell on there, and she can talk about her experience with this new transplant that she just received. Hopefully, we have Shane on there also, so he can talk to us about the latest experience he's about to have. He's having right now, going through. So yeah.
Right, right. So, Mr. Cook, definitely appreciate you
Appreciate you,
doing
brother.
this show today with me. And if you came in on the end of it, it's on YouTube. So definitely go back and see 10 tips we gave to beat insomnia. Something, like I said, that I've noticed a lot of people are mentioning in the in groups and stuff like that they're having problems with sleeping and things like that. So I said, why not, touch on this issue, to help them. That's what we're about, right? So, like I said, December 8th, Tiffany Archibald, December 10th, part two of our dialysis roundtable discussion. And we will be back this Sunday. We took last Sunday off because Thanksgiving week we did 4 shows in a row, which is the amount of shows we normally do in a whole month. So
Right, right.
we was like, you know what, we gotta take the day off. We had like we talking about recovery.
Whew.
To get ourselves back into it and to be able to do stuff like this. So um, we'll definitely be back, like I said, Sunday, and then so here's a quick announcement before we end the show, and then once it's in, we'll be done. Everybody have a great day.
Whew.